All right, everybody, welcome back. Cover 1, playoff edition, everybody. Let's get to the co-host, Ryan Chadwick. What's going on, man?
How's it going, man? Regular season's finally over. We're finally to the playoffs. It's a by-district round. We've already had some games on Thursday, but we got a full slate tonight, and I'm just excited about it.
Yeah, so am I, man. I mean, we went out to some of the Thursday games last night and had a blast. Let's bring in our new Cover 1 analyst, Matt. You're going to have to say your last name for me.
Yeah, Matt Cotrier. What's up, guys? How's it going?
All right, Matt, introduce yourself, man. I know you kind of on the show last week, but talk about it this week. How's your week been? I know you were assaulted yesterday.
Yeah, I got assaulted yesterday on my first
in the line of duty
call in the line of duty, but looking forward to analyzing some high school football. Let's do this.
All right, good deal. Before we get started, let's go have a quick message from the Bass Bunch.
You'll love this all-new 24 Ford Mustang with a 10-speed select shift transmission. That's fancy tech talk for it's a really cool car.
Right now, you can get a brand new 2024 Ford Mustang for just $33,999.
That's a great price for a sports car.
Only at Jim Bass Ford, Houston Hart at Arden Road, or shop 24/7 at jimbassford.com.
Look at you.
And welcome back to the show. Now, for those of you who don't know and those of you who might not know, we're just going to talk about a little bit how the playoff structure in the Texas high school football playoffs work. So the playoffs consists of 6 rounds, including the state championship game. It's almost like another regular season on top of the one that all these teams just finished. The top 4 teams in each district make the playoffs, and of course that means that both Central and Lakeview missed out this year, but hey, there's always next year, right? And this week is week 1. We got the by-district round, and we're just going to kind of see how these Concho Valley teams go. I will say there are a little bit different rules for 1A, and James, take that one away.
Yeah, 1A, there's one less round in 1A. So 6-man gets a bye week before state, and only 2 teams make it out of each district. So, we talked about a power 6-man district here in the Concho Valley. You had Irion County, very best, Robert Lee, and Menard. Irion County and Menard made it last year. This year, Irion County and Robert Lee made it. So only 2 teams, and there were like 3 teams tied for the top, or 4 teams tied right there at the top. It came down to points, and points are another thing in 6-man. So
right, and that's still wild to me. The very best missed out when they started the season 7-0.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Matt, what do you think about anything about that? About 6-man?
Man, I just think 6-man is awesome. I can't wait to watch some 6-man in person, and especially playoff game.
Yeah, the playoffs are wild. Last year, Irion County played May, and that's another matchup that we're going to talk about. But there was 104-91, so
yeah,
quite a crazy game. But let's get into, before we start getting into tonight's games, though. Let's get into highlights from last night's game. Before we do, we have to talk about Hartman Roofing. Hartman Roofing is the next segment is brought to you by Hartman Roofing. If you want to stay in the game, don't get beat over the top. At Hartman Roofing, the proof is in the roof. From residential houses to commercial buildings, Hartman Roofing is the roofer you can trust to do it right and do it right the first time. To get a quote today, call Hartman Roofing at 325-653-2888. All right, Chadwick, let's talk about Miles in Sterling City.
Okay, so I was at San Angelo Stadium last night. The weather was miserable. It was raining the whole time. Everybody in that stadium was soaked by the end of it. But hey, it was a great game for one of the teams. Not so great for the other. The Miles Bulldogs and Sterling City Eagles have a burgeoning rivalry kind of coming up. If y'all remember last year, Sterling City was actually the team that kicked Miles out of the playoffs off of a missed extra point at the very end of the game out in Wall out there. And Sterling City, again, beat Miles again in the regular season this year. So these Bulldogs were ready not only for their first playoff win in years, but also for some revenge against Sterling City. And James and Matt, let me tell you guys, they definitely got it. Do we have those highlights pulled up yet?
We're going to throw them highlights up.
All right.
Now.
So basically, it was pretty much all Miles all night. Right there, you saw a trick play out of the Wildcat on fourth down. Cooper Ellison took the snap and threw it to quarterback Haven Book for a touchdown catch. And this pretty much defined Miles' entire night. They really could do no wrong on the offensive side of the ball. Here's another Haven Book touchdown right there. At that point, I think it was 21-0. Sterling City had success initially on their first drive, but they ended up punting the ball away. And after that, it was all Miles defense all night, right? And you'll see a good example of this right here. There is an interception by the Bulldogs, and it just kind of continued that way. And this is just before the half. You see Haven Book roll back, chunk up a prayer, wide open receiver in Ellison for another touchdown. Miles led big, I think 35-0 at halftime on this one. Obviously, in the second half, everyone kind of took their foot off the brake a little bit. But as you can see here, this is another takeaway by the Bulldogs. Sterling City's offense just isn't geared up for a big comeback or a track meet, and the spread that Miles runs, it's hard to stop.
With this Miles offense, I mean, they're a powerhouse. But Chad, what would you say when we're talking about the Miles Bulldogs here? How deep do you think they can go? I mean, how good are they?
Well, I will say, if this defense keeps playing as good as they are, because the defense was the name of the game last night. Sterling City could literally get nothing going. Defense had five takeaways. You give your high-powered offense like this 5 extra opportunities to score, you're going to win these games. So I say the sky's the limit for this Bulldogs team. I know at some point they're going to have to run up against the Albany Lions, and Albany is a state champion from last year, and they're going to be state champions again this year. But hey, it could be a great game.
Yeah, Chad, talk about your interview with Coach Wilhelm.
Okay, so
after the game.
You should have seen the smile on his face. Everybody, because like I said, it has been years, might even be more than a decade since Miles won their last playoff game. And last year, they thought they had it. They went out and they lost to Sterling City in the end. So not only was this that first playoff win, but it's like they got over the Sterling City hurdle. And so I was talking to Coach Wilhelm after the game, and he just praised his defense. He praises the guys on offense, and I know a bunch of those guys play both ways. But he had nothing bad to say about his team's performance, and he was all smiles and all praise for his team.
All right, man. I was at Sweetwater last night for the boys in Sutton County, Sonora Broncos. You know, we talked about the drive. We talked about the Denver Broncos drive in the Super Bowl where they had to drive the field, and John Elway sits there and says, "Oh, look, John Candy's over there," and the offensive line says, "We got him right where we want him." So we're going to talk about the Sonora Broncos real quick. Here you have them driving the field. Butron, of course, is kind of beat up. You know, he's kind of lame. His leg is hurt. He rolls out, finds number 6 for a touchdown. This was just the start of things. Edgar DeLuna really didn't play that much on offense at the beginning of the game. He's kind of beat up last year, or kind of got beat up in the Forsan game. So they kind of eased him in. They started him off on defense. As you can see here, he wasn't out there, and Wilburn takes this around the edge for a huge run for a touchdown. Kind of when you start thinking this is going to be a game, you know, and then here you have Butron rolling out, finding Dylan Ford. Let me tell you, Dylan Ford's about 5'6". He's won state golf 2 years in a row. He is a hell of a good player for him over there in Sonora. He had a big intersection coming up right here, actually. You have Wilburn rolling out, looking, little 5'6". Dylan Ford jumps in front of it, takes it back. Doesn't take it back far, but hey, gets an interception, goes the other way. One of the only turnovers in the game. Here you go. Dylan Ford again, around the outside, in for the score. Sonora's up now, and now here, not an ideal situation. You know, Sonora kind of had trouble, but they also held Anson to a couple field goals, and I would trade field goals for touchdowns. And here you have Butron running it in, getting back ahead of things.
All right, James, you talk about was it injuries, or was it a case of Sonora playing with their food here?
No, it was injuries. It was kind of beat up. You know, we saw this team last year, and we saw how dominant they were, and they made it 3 rounds deep, and nobody was injured. And this year they're supposed to be different, but really,
everyone got beat up
exactly,
again. Yeah.
You know, but this is the drive right here. This is the whole drive. This is, you know.
So at this point, they're down by 2 points?
They're down. It's 27-21, and they need something, you know.
Yep, fourth quarter.
Yep, converted on 4th down and everything. They took care of business. That's what you want to see from your team. I don't care who you are. Here goes Edgar DeLuna being a grown man down the field. Stays in bounds and finds the end zone here. Fantastic play. And this ties up the game. Here comes a 2-point conversion. It's a shovel pass they ran last year actually against Farwell. DeLuna gets in, scores. But now you're up by 29-27, and Anson gets the ball back, and your defense has had trouble all game. But big 65 there. Watch him. Gets in there for the tackle. That's Elijah Samaniego. He's their starting center, too. Played out of his mind. Here's Jacob Martinez making a play. You know, Wilburn goes to throw it. They both jump in, take him down. 3rd down coming up. Wilburn taking back, rolling out, trying to find somebody. Doesn't work out for him, and he ends up just throwing it away. Almost picked. Here you go. 4th down play.
Game on the line.
Yeah, this is it. You know, this is what separates, Sonora driving down the field and scoring and teams that don't. Wilburn takes it and just doesn't find anybody. Here you go. Here's the kneel down. I told Butron there, hey, man, probably don't do anything cute here. He said, no, I got it. I've been in this position before.
So I'll go ahead and ask you the same question that Matt asked me a second ago. Seeing what Sonora is, they're kind of beat up right now. Like, they probably shouldn't have struggled with Anson as much as they did, but hey, it's in any given Sunday, right? How far can the Sonora team go in these playoffs?
Sonora's. I'm already making our reservation for state. I know we're going state regardless, but state would be a heck of a lot more fun if Sonora were there. You know, obviously you can play the what-if game, and they're going to get up against Hawley, and they're going to get up against Toller and some of these really, really good teams, and you know, it's going to be tough. But if you can squeak out the win, a win by 1 point is just as good as a win by 50 points.
Yeah, no, and at the same time, like you talk about Toller and you talk about Hawley, I would say this Sonora team, you know, minus the weird game in Forsan where DeLuna gets hurt, I would say they are that same caliber kind of team right now.
Oh, absolutely. So. Absolutely. I'd say the same thing. They are, I don't know. Of course, I have emotion involved in, you know, Coach Weston's been great and Jaime has been great, you know, walking down on that sideline. You know, Butron's praying, he stands up, he sees me, he gives me a high five, and, you know, it's just a good relationship that we have, working relationship, and, you know, those kids play their hearts out, and I was brokenhearted for Butron when I saw that he had torn his knee up.
Yeah.
And for him to come back and play at all this year is nuts. I mean, that's insane.
It's like,
so, all right, Chadwick, go ahead and talk about our next game. We sent Ernesto out to Colorado City
for the defending champion Albany Lions and the Eldorado Eagles. And Eagles fans, I am sorry, this one was not even close. I know the boys played hard, but Albany is just that kind of team this year. They won the state championship last year, and I said it earlier, they're going to win it again this year. They're just too much. They're too big. They're too fast.
You got Adam Hill you got Cason Fairchild. You got really good teams. You know, all these kids played on that state playoff team last year.
Yep, and they're all back. And that was the thing about Albany last year. They were young. And I know that they graduated some guys. Like, I think they graduated their quarterback. But
they graduated one of their running backs, Lefevre, and he had most of the touchdowns in the state game. They were all 1-yard scores. You know, Adam Hill was the guy that was putting up 1,000 yards. And you can't go low on him because he'll hurdle you. He's a hurdler in track, so you go low, he's going to jump over you, and you take him on high, he's a big back, he's going to knock you down. You know, so, you know, Denny Faith puts together a really good program there in Albany, and I was talking to one of our old correspondents. He's now with KTAB. We were just talking about Denny Faith. You know, he's been there for, I think, 40 years now. He's been to several state playoff games, finally won one.
He finally won his first one last year,
Yep.
yeah.
And he has over 400 wins. What else does he have to prove? He goes off and wins another state playoff game. We were just talking about it. John Elway, he left with 2 rings, walked out and walked out
won
high.
those 2 in a row and he said, "I'm out."
So let's talk about Denny. Let's talk about Denny Faith. Could he potentially move on?
Yeah, and the final score in that one ended up being Albany 60, Eldorado nothing. So, still, with that being said, congratulations to the Eldorado Eagles on a successful season. You made it to the playoffs. You just had the unfortunate circumstance of being paired up against the defending state champions in the first round. Matt, as a guy who made it pretty deep in the playoffs back when you played on that 03 Bobcat team, like when you run up against teams that are just, it seems like a daunting task. Like how do you respond to that?
Yeah, you play teams, where they're tough teams. They might have a few key players that make key plays, and when you're watching film, the coaches are talking about these players and how to defend them, and you might make a game plan around certain individual players. But when you get 2 deep, 3 deep in the playoffs, all the players are good. You start getting you play those big teams, those Arlington Lamars and the South Lake Carrolls,
or in this case the Albany Lions, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Albany Lions.
I was about to say that once you get into the playoffs, one player can take you through your district,
right?
But once you get deep in the playoffs, it has to be more than one player.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So talk. Albany has more than one player. They have more than Adam Hill. They have Fairchild, Wagner. They have a whole bunch of players.
Yeah, it's exactly right. It's not just one guy, 2 guys. I mean, it's a team stacked full of players that are playmakers.
Yeah, it's like at some point it becomes a system, right? Like it's like how good is your program,
Exactly.
And I think that's the importance of the offseason and building up a very strong foundation in the weight room, great team chemistry, great discipline from the coaching staff all the way down to the water boys, and it seems like for those teams who actually win state, everyone's in lockstep together, and it just becomes a machine.
Yep, and
that's the truth. Yeah.
That's part of it. It's just one player can take you through your district, but once you get up, I think Coach Otho said it last year because they played Hawley in round 1, Christoval did, and he talked about Nebraska's coach was walking across, was there, or their recruiter was there watching Hawley,
Yeah.
And it's just their whole line is good,
Yeah.
everybody's good,
Yeah.
so all your players really need to get on that level to make it to state, and that's just the
right.
nature of the beast.
Well, and doesn't that cement the importance of keeping a coaching staff intact? Like, let's say you have a couple bad seasons in a row. Most high schools will just cut you loose, right? But I feel like for some of these state champion programs, those coaching staffs have been there. They've been in place. You've had several, generations of grades 6 through 12 come through there. And Albany's a great example of that. Didn't you just say that the coach has been there for 40 years?
Yeah. Well, and let's look locally. Let's look. Who's the team in San Angelo that is perennially in the playoffs every year, make it 2, 3, 4 rounds deep?
I mean, they
The
would be the
Wall
Wall
Hawks,
Hawks,
Yeah. It's
and
the
how long
program. It's built from years. I mean, generations even. It's just like you said, Chadwick. It really starts with the coaching and what's done in the off season, what's done with the kids and how they come together, and it's really interesting to see a team like the Wall Hawks because their program is just unlike any other program that we've seen around here, and it breeds greatness. It's incredible. Love watching that team.
No, exactly. That I think he's been there 18
right?
years
18
now?
years, 18 seasons. I think it's season 18 for him.
So think about that. If you had a kid who was born when Coach Guy came in and took over,
He'd be a senior right now.
he'd be a senior.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there are kids who that's probably 4 from freshmen to seniors. That's 4 groups of kids coming through.
Yeah.
I mean, almost 5.
Yeah.
That's what it takes. But And I think we kind of talked enough about last night's game.
And timeout, Coach Guy, if you've actually only been there for 12 years, because I don't have that stat, I'm not calling you old. Just throwing that out there.
No. He told me last year he's been there like 17 years.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I know it's close, but still, we gotta give the respect out.
Yes, absolutely. But let's move on. We're going to talk about them here right after our Angela Bolt ad. Angela Bolt, our coverage of the Wall Hawks is brought to you by Angela Bolt at 808 Warehouse Road. Opened in 1994, Angela Bolt and Industrial Supplies has served the Concho Valley for 29 years and counting. Angela Bolt is the go-to place for fasteners, power tools, air compressors, safety equipment, and everything in between. Chances are Angela Bolt has what you're looking for. So if they don't have that odd fastener or special part you're looking for, they'll find it fast. No request is too big or too small at Angela Bolt at 808 Warehouse Road, where the customer service is their top priority. Thank you, Angela Bolt, for bringing us Chadwick and the crew at the Central Bobcat games all through the season and the Wall Hawks throughout the playoffs. All right, Matt, we're going to talk about the Wall Hawks and Tornillo. Take it away.
Week 1 matchup, man. Let's hear it.
Yeah, week 1 matchup. All right, so the Wall Hawks are hosting Tornillo. Man, this game starts at 6 o'clock. It's going to be out at Wall. I expect there to be packed stands. Get ready for a blowout, to be honest with you. I think the Wall Hawks are just going to run through this team. I don't see Tornillo putting up, more than maybe 1 touchdown, and that's only because they might end up putting in their JV. Wall Hawks might end up putting in, a second, third, fourth string. They're just that good of a team. They have the depth on their roster, and so I just don't expect this to be a close game, unfortunately, but I'm definitely looking forward to watching it.
All right, Matt, and I will say too, I talked to Coach Guy this week, and he said that he's going to have of course, Hawks are still going to show up, do their jobs, make sure they win the game the right way, But he said that they're really going to focus on just basically not getting injured. With that being said, they usually have this first round matchup against Tornillo as a bye. I personally believe that it's better for them to play this game so they don't get rusty. What are your overall thoughts on that? Would you rather them have a bye, or would you want to play this matchup and risk injuries and all that?
Man, that's a good question. I think they should come out and play this game. It's important. It's a playoff game. They need to come out, like you said, and take care of business. It's not, you sit back on your heels and immediately put third string in just because you think you've got the game won. That's a recipe for some a team coming beating you out of nowhere and upsetting you. And so I think you gotta play this game. You gotta take it seriously. Injuries are important. You gotta be careful, but I think you definitely have to come out and take it seriously and get this game won and get it out of the way for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. And this game is where again?
This game is going to be in Wall, at the Wall Stadium, and it's at 6 p.m. this evening.
All right. Now we're going to move straight on into Ozona Cisco. Ozona's a team that we haven't really talked about much this year, but they are in the Concho Valley, and they made the playoffs. They're in that same district as Sonora and Forsan, and they actually only lost to Sonora. Their quarterback, Hudson Fowler, has put up over 2,000 yards. Their Villarreal, their sophomore running backs, put up over 1,000 yards on the ground. They are a very good team, and I really think this is a winnable game for Ozona. Cisco had Hunter Long last year. He's graduated, and I just don't think that they're really the same team they were. Obviously, you've gone through some stuff. Stanford played really well this year in that district. Hawley played really well in that district. And I really think that Ozona has a really good chance at winning this one. Matt, you want to say something?
So what do you think if you had to say what does Ozona have that makes them special this year? Is it the defense, the offense? Is it?
Yeah, I really think it's they had this young sophomore quarterback last year in Hudson Fowler, who went to Miles and was perfect. I think he was 20 for 20 for 250 yards and 4 touchdowns. So I think having him as a sophomore come up another year and have that ability to just build on last season, I think he's the difference maker in this game.
Well, James, what surprises me is that we just really haven't heard much noise around Ozona just because of how good Sonora's been, But Ozona came to town week 1 and just flattened TLCA, and so that's basically playing a division up too. And like I know TLCA was going through some stuff at the time, but still, you still like show up week 1, hangs like over 60 points on a spread offense and hold them to basically nothing. It's impressive, but I don't know, like. I think the Ozona Lions are also going to play pretty well tonight, but go ahead and tell everyone when and where this one's at.
All right, this one is going to be in Colorado City at 7 o'clock. All right, and we're going to move right on into Chadwick's game, TLCA and Crane. Talk about it, Chadwick.
Okay, so the TLCA Eagles and the Crane Cranes, super original, guys.
Is it the Crane Cranes or the Crane Golden Cranes?
I mean, aren't they cranes?
I guess they're cranes regardless.
They're cranes. Yeah.
Anyway, so Crane is in that district out there with Alpine and Tornillo and all those schools. And the way that I think Odessa Compass Academy is also in that one.
They are.
And the way that schedule is set up, they've basically played each other twice this season. Am I wrong about that?
No, they did.
Yeah, and so so for six of their games in the season, they've played against the same people, and they played everyone twice, and so their record might be a little bit deceptive. They went undefeated, they went undefeated in district, right?
Yeah, I think they were first in their district.
But like other than that, like I know that they dropped a game against the Roscoe and the Plowboys. And
who are another good team.
Yeah, who's a really good team, but then again, they also really it's really hard to just put a finger on how good Crane is. Like I know that they always come correct, and they always bring a good program. So TLCA is definitely going to have their hands full. The thing with the Eagles is when Lane Honey's on, when that offense is clicking, when receivers are getting open, they're going to go score a lot of points, right? They've been a little bit more of a revolving door a little bit with injuries on defense, but like we've also seen that they can take advantage of some takeaways when the other team makes mistakes. What's really going to kill the Eagles tonight is if they turn the ball over. If TLCA turns the ball over, they're not winning this game. But with how fast they can score, if they can get up on Crane early, Crane might have to change the way they play this game. But regardless, it should be a pretty good matchup.
But I mean, if you've been to a Crane, if you've seen Crane play, I mean, have you seen their fans? Man, when they start rallying, all the fans simultaneously, they start doing this thing, man, dude. It is out of control, epic, man. It's something to see.
All right, Chadwick, when is this game? Where is this game?
Okay, so this game is going to be in Roscoe tonight at 7 p.m.
All right, straight into our next one. We're going to talk about Irion County in May. Last week, Irion County went and beat Very Best. They have the Warriors 3 over there, Colton Loudenberg, Parker Posey, and Wyatt Morris. And Morris went off. He had 5 touchdowns. They're playing the May Tigers again in the first round. They've matched up with them 4 times. The first 2 times, May won. And they made it pretty far, almost state. Last year, Irion County won 104-91, and they made it pretty far. So here we go. Here's our 4th matchup between these 2 teams, and it's going to be a good one. And I really feel like Wyatt Morris and Parker Posey, another Olivon, he's number 55 on the Irion County Hornets, showed up big time against Very Best. Had a couple picks, had one return for a touchdown. And then they 45'd him. 6-man, 45 mercy rule. It's over. And this should be a really good matchup. Last year there wasn't a lot of defense. I would be kind of worried about that Irion County defense, though. They are really good.
Yeah, and to be honest, like historically, this game has come down to whoever has the ball last basically wins, right? And like if you're of the opinion that Irion County's defense is going to be the one to step up, I'm still more on the side of it's going to be Irion County's run game. I don't know, James. Give me your thoughts. Defense versus offense here. Like, can Irion County stop May enough times for that to be the deciding factor, or is it just going to come down to who can get the most onside kicks?
Man, I've said this. It seems like some 6-man teams just get it. It seems like some teams are just head and shoulders above talent. It might not even be talent. It's just that they understand the game so much more. Both these teams do, and I really think that this Irion County defense is that good. And I really think that they're gonna take this one over.
All right, man. Where's it at?
It is gonna be in Robert Lee tonight at 7 o'clock. All right, Chadwick, we're going back to you. Let's talk about Alpine Brady.
Okay, so this is going to be the third school, district matchup, all out of the same district, with Alpine being with Tornillo and Crane, Brady, of course, being with TLCA and Wall. So these two districts are always matched up every year, and it's going to just be kind of a slugfest. Alpine's another real weird one to put your finger on. Go out and lose to a Reagan County, but then turn around and do really good in your district. So I know the Bucks can play. Their team's a little bit smaller than in years past, but I know that they can really run the ball well. Brady, on the other hand, is a mixed bag. James, I have no idea what to think about the Brady Bulldogs. I know against Wall that some of their two of their best players didn't even play because they were either a little gimp.
Dash and Bash.
Yep, Dash and Bash. They didn't even play, and so I know that they're going to be rested and healthy and ready to go. And I know Coach Jaron Roberts is going to have the defense ready to go. But what I need to see is 0 turnovers tonight on offense for the Brady Bulldogs. I think that is the only way that they're going to win this bi-district championship. Just like the TLCA Eagles, if they get behind the ball, I don't see them overcoming that. I think they need to keep the ball on the ground as much as possible and really just try to impress their will on the Bucks. And, of course, like I said, do not turn the ball over.
Yeah, that's one thing that sophomore quarterback Sean Jacoby has done is he's a gunslinger, man. He will throw that interception, but when Brady needed a quarterback, they said, hey, man, you're our guy. Another guy that came back, now, and we said Zeke did play, but he didn't play much. Darryl Adair, he did not play, and they both should be ready to go tonight. Big part of their defense came back. Johnny Monreal, Johnny Menefield.
Yeah, I was like, Sterling City?
I'm in Sterling City right now. Johnny Menefield, he had 22 tackles against the Wall Hawks last week. So this I like what Roberts has done out there at Brady. I really do. I think he is the coach for them, and that defense flies around. DeMarcus Reed has played outstanding this year. Very young, and the future is very bright for them. But Chadwick, when is this game? Where is this game?
All right, so Alpine versus Brady tonight. It's going to be in Big Lake out at Reagan County Stadium. It's going to be at 7 p.m.
All right. Now we're going to move into our player of the week. But first, Carpet Tech, if I can find my notes.
Our Carpet Tech player of the week.
Before we announce the winner, we just had to let you know that Carpet Tech is the proud sponsor of COVER1 Athletics, and this year brings you COVER1's player of the week. Carpet Tech is the local go-to carpet cleaner. Remember, if your home is in a wreck, call Carpet Tech at 325-944, All right. Let's move into it right away. From last week, our player of the week, Jake Edmonston from Christoval. He had 17 carries, 102 yards, 1 touchdown on offense. On defense, he had 7 tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, and 1 pass defended. He played outstanding for the Cougars against Reagan County. They really put it on him, Chadwick.
Yeah, I mean, I remember in the post-game show last week, both the Matts were in here, and and Matt Trammell asked me, he was like, what'd you think about Christoval and Reagan County? And I was like, well, who won? He's like, Christoval. I was like, they did what? It was kind of funny just because I'm not saying
they've had a weird year though.
Yeah, I'm not saying Christoval's a bad team. They've just been a little bit down on the let's say they're young, and I know Coach Otho said they were young. And they've just struggled at times. They've had 2 big upsets this year now, and they really put it on Reagan County. And it seems like our player of the week was a big part of that.
Yeah, and let's not several of those teams were there at the bottom. They all could have been that 4th seed. Anthony ended up beating Christoval though, and they ended up getting into that 4th seed. So, and they actually lost to Hawley last night. So, Christoval would have been matched up against Hawley. And that didn't work out too well last year. But Hawley's not the same team, right?
Yeah, I mean, Hawley's a little bit worse than we were last year. I don't think they're beating Sonora.
Yeah, they might be a little bit worse, but
they're still pretty good.
Mitch Ables knows what he's doing.
And they're still defending state champions.
Yeah,
so.
And Deontay Ramon, that receiver, and Deontay Ramon and what's his name? I forget. Chandlin Meyer. I'm going to be getting some mail for getting Chandlin Meyer. They're both outstanding receivers. So anyway, Chadwick, let's move on to our picks. Let's talk about our picks for this week.
Okay, well, Matt, we're going to start with you. Go ahead and take the picks away for the Wall Tornillo game.
Yep, I got Walt winning that one. I think the final score will be well into the 60s. I'm looking at 67-7. I think Tornillo will get a touchdown just because I think Wall might throw in, second, third string, so they might edge one out on him.
Is it pretty much a unanimous across the board? Is everyone picking Wall?
I think so. I think everyone here, at least. I mean, for sure. I mean,
Yeah. I think everybody kind of realized that Tornillo couldn't play this game last year, and they're struggling with numbers, and Wall is Wall. We talked about it earlier. Wall is Wall.
Yeah.
That's all we can say about Wall. All right, Chadwick, talk about the TLCA Crane game.
Okay, so TLCA and Crane's going to be a little bit of a weird one. I feel like Crane is the favorites, but TLCA is a wild card. There's some weeks where they can hang 80 points on you, and the next week drop 14. So it really just depends on how well that offensive line protects Lane Honey and how fast those receivers can get open. I'm rolling with the home team, the only team from San Angelo to make the playoffs this year. We said it earlier this year, the best team in San Angelo. Well, at least this year, is the TLCA Eagles, and I have them winning this one 35-24 over Crane. A little bit of a mixed bag, that's what James said, actually. I said 49-42 TLC over Crane. But anyway, a bit of a mixed bag. We got Scott Menchaca, Ernesto Rodriguez, Yantis Green, and Kimberly Mahano all going with Crane. Wow, all the guys who are actually on the show, we're all rolling with TLCA and Trammell, Matt,
what a hater!
Me and James. So
no, I'm for Crane.
Oh yeah, actually, I guess I wrote that down wrong. Oh yeah, I can't read. I didn't write it down wrong. He did pick Crane. So looks like the OG COVER1 guys are all on TLCA, and everyone else is just a bunch of haters.
All right, we're going to move on to Ozona and Cisco. I think this game is going to fall on Hudson Fowler and Villarreal there. Dusty Smith is also another good player for him. And I really think this is going to be a good football game. This is probably going to be one of the better games of the night from the Concho Valley. And I have Ozona edging out Cisco 35-33. It's going to be a close game. And everybody else, Chadwick has picked Ozona 35-28. Couture, you picked Ozona 35-14. Trammell picked Cisco. Scott Menchaca and Yantis Green picked Ozona. And Ernesto Rodriguez and Kimberly Mahano picked Cisco. All right, Chadwick, let's move on real quick to our next game, the Alpine Brady game.
Alpine Bucks versus the Brady Bulldogs. This one, again, is a bit of a mixed bag, but I have the Bulldogs securing that by-district championship if they show up and they don't turn the ball over. And we all know they can play defense. We all know they can run the ball. Just do that. I have Brady winning this one 28-21. And then joining me are James, Scott, and Ernesto, and everybody else picked Alpine, and I'm not even going to read their names because they picked Alpine.
All right. Moving on to our last game, Irion County May. This game last year was 104-91, an instant classic. I think Ernesto said he was running a racetrack up and down. He probably wore a groove into that field, running up and down that field so much. But I'm obviously going with Irion County. I believe in Coach Harrison. He said these guys really stepped up once district started, and I think it's going to be another high-scoring game. It's probably going to be like 84-80 for Irion County. They're gonna even it up, and it's going to be 2-2, and they're going to go pretty far this year. Other than that, Couture, you have May winning this game.
It's gonna be May.
Hater.
May, and May's a good football team though. Let's not take anything away. They were in the state playoff or the state championship a few years ago, and then they've made it deep the past couple years. The only year they didn't make it deep was last year when they lost to Irion County. All right, and Chadwick has Irion County winning this one, 74-72. Trammell has Irion County winning this one. Ernesto Rodriguez and Yantis Green both have Irion County. And Kimberly Mahano has May. All right, Chadwick, what do you think, man? What do you think of our games tonight?
I mean, it's a good slate. It's a bit of a weird year for me because the Central Bobcats are usually in the playoffs at this time. Obviously, they didn't make it too young this year, and they'll be back next year, bigger and better than ever. But Man, like I'm excited. It's going to be all small ball, all small school ball this year, and I think the Concho Valley has enough good teams where they can really just make some waves. I'm talking about the Mason Punchers, I'm talking about the Wall Hawks, Sonora Broncos, and now even the Miles Bulldogs, and of course the Irion County Hornets. Like, we have a couple guys who could really push the envelope, make it to that third, fourth, fifth round, and hey, we even have a couple that might make it all the way to Jerry World.
All right, moving on. Before we go, though, we got to talk about the Pit Barbecue. Of course, we can't move on without talking about the Pit Barbecue. For Friday night eats, skip out on the pizza and hamburgers from the stands, and stop by the Pit Barbecue. This week, the Cover1 crew will be chowing down on some pit pies, and man, they are delicious. Go get one today at 2330 Sherwood Way, and tell Jesse the Cover1 crew sent you. All right, let's talk about the scores page real quick. We are going to have plenty of scores going up all night. We're going to have scores from last night going up, and Chadwick, tell us about the scores page.
Okay, so on the scores page tonight, we are not only going to have the scores from last night so you can get all caught up, but we're going to have all the matchups that we've listed tonight, plus the other ones surrounding these teams that would potentially affect future playoff matchups. And even though they're not in it, we're still gonna give you the scores on all the Little Southwest Conference, okay?
Yeah, and we'll also talk about some of the other teams that might threaten some of the teams in the Concho Valley. We'll have them games in there as
of course.
Well.
So yeah, just check in the scores page tonight for all the Texas high school football scores.
And the scores page is brought to you by Texas Bank. The Cover1 scoreboard is brought to you by Texas Bank. Locally owned and governed, Texas Bank is a proud sponsor of Cover1 Athletics. Just like the guys on the field, Texas Bank wants to show you what it means to be a team. From checking to savings to personal loans to commercial loans, Texas Bank is here for San Angeloans with 3 convenient locations. So when thinking about where to bank, use the local guys at Texas Bank. All right, let's talk about final thoughts real fast. My final thoughts are, I'm ready to watch some 6-man football. I'm ready to watch Irion County go represent the Concho Valley at state. I believe in the Warriors 3. I believe in Coach Morrow. I believe in Coach Harrison. Chadwick, what's your final thought?
My final thought is just congratulations to the Sonora Broncos. You don't really see too many high school football games where you really do have one final drive where you got to put it all on the line, and Sonora really delivered last night, and I think this team is just primed for a deep playoff run.
The drive.
The drive.
Yep, we're taking it over from Denver. All right, Matt, what's your final thought?
My final thoughts, I'm with you, Chadwick. I think I'd like to see the Sonora Broncos go deep. That and, of course, the Wall Hawks. I'm ready for them to get this one, this win under their belt and see how far we can go. And then, of course, the Cranes. Man, I'm telling you that when they get together and do that chant, it's something else. So looking forward to seeing that too. But, yeah, we'll see what happens this week.
All right. And another thing about the Sonora Broncos, Chadwick, I need that fourth quarter last drive energy from the fans the entire game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a little bit cold yesterday. Give them a little bit of...
No. I was out on that field, too. I was getting rained on, too. I need those fans to step up and have that same energy the entire game. Just because the game's close and you're up by 2 and your defense hadn't really done much the whole game to stop the Anson Tigers till that last bit. You need to get up and cheer. Get up and cheer. You paid for admission. Go out there and go cheer for your team. All right, this has been the Cover1 pregame show. We're gonna move on. I know. All right, this has been the Cover1 pregame show. We'd like to thank all of our sponsors. We got Texas Bank. We got Hartman Roofing. We got Carpet Tech. We got Intertel. We got the Pit Barbecue. We will see you guys at halftime.